All right, so I'm gonna have to air out what I'm thinking here. I kind of figured after the first episode really got me into thinking that there was going to be some kind of paranormal element. But after the second episode, I was unsure. Now I see what now that I've played this episode, I see what they were doing. They're trying to make it a thing where, since they're kids, their memories are childlike. So they see the Mad Hunter, even though it was Tom, you know? And I guess I see what they were going with that. I can't say I'm not slightly disappointed that there wasn't more, that it wasn't like a left turn, that the story was actually a lot more straightforward than I thought it would be. Outside of the fact that they have magical psychic powers, which is not explained, but that's fine. They could just be a twin thing. That's what they say. They say twins can communicate like that in real life. I don't know if that's verified, but I've heard that. That could just be a superstition. Still, the final choice. When I made that choice, I really thought I made the wrong choice. But I couldn't not pick it, because everything they built up about the mom built her up as somebody who wouldn't do that. I mean, she may have had her issues, but she was so fiercely trying to be her own person and raise her kids her own way. And finding that book about transitioning that she knew about Tyler, that was almost enough for me to paint her in a different light. And I guess that's the way the memories and every time they went back to the memory, it was always different, which is the point, I suppose. But it always seemed softer every time they went back. For when you first see it, it makes it so clear that she's trying to kill him specifically. But I guess that's the reason they ended episode 2 on that note of Allison freaking out when she hears the phrase, I'm gonna kill you. Because she knew in her head that she connected that with a different memory, and that's not how it went, even if Tyler didn't. So that's why I had to go with Tom's version. Even though I don't like Tom, obviously. Well, how could anybody like Tom? He's set up to be an unlikable character. But I had to agree with his, even though he was using that to try to blackmail them, essentially, blackmail Allison, that did seem like it felt more right, that she wasn't trying to hurt him. Now, the gun part is confusing. I have to assume, and Allison went straight for she was going to kill herself, which is possible. I didn't even think of that in the moment. I assumed maybe Tom said he was going to come out to check on her, and she was going to get ready to kill him, because fuck him, but the suicide thing does make some sense. The pressure of having your child services take your 2 kids away after all that, after you tried so hard to raise them and without help. The twist of Tessa cutting her off because she found out that Tom cheated on her with him is very well implemented. It makes everything make more sense in retrospect. Like, yes, that's why she knew. She was very charitable in the beginning, but when she found out, that was the end of that. I love the basement too. Or I mean, not the basement, the loft of the barn. But I don't think I'll ever get over the trauma of missing one collectible and not being able to finish that puzzle. I'm extremely curious about what you actually get in there. I wonder if there's information that you get out of that that could possibly sway you one way or another. Because all those little letters when you solve the optional puzzles, they do kind of, I think, sway me towards the mom, Marianne, being not a killer. You know what I'm saying? They all paint her in a light that's more human, which is the point, I suppose. The point is the point of the story. Maybe, I don't know. Everybody can interpret it their own way. But they want to make it clear that the way you remember somebody is not always who they are, because these kids don't know. You don't really know who your parents are when you're a kid. I don't really know who my parents are now. Really, I mean, they have their own lives, and you don't really see that when you're a kid, especially when you're a young child. You just don't understand those kind of things. So you see things differently. But in the end, they managed to accept things for what they were. They accepted the version that they remember, and I'm happy with the ending. I'm glad that everything actually worked out. Um, Allison's going to therapy. Tyler seems like he's accepted the version of events, even if that's not how he remembers it. He's going to get his surgery. They've all moved to Juneau together. And they've sold the house and they're done. They've got that chapter of their lives written. Which is, I don't know. I don't see how the ending could be any better than that. They've all accepted the trauma. They've grown as people. They understand that they need to ask for help. They have a nice support structure. Michael and Tyler together. It's a happy ending if you've ever seen it. But I'd be curious to see what a bad ending looks like. Let's look at our choices. Allison was grateful they completed Marianne's puzzle. Yes, I don't see why you would. I'm surprised 8% forced it open, really. I figured it'd be 100 that complete the puzzle. Allison was influenced by Tom's testimony. Okay, this is interesting. I honestly thought when I was making that choice that I might be in the minority. Specifically just because of the way that they word it. The way they word that choice is very interesting. The way they word it is believe Tom's version or believe your version. But honestly, even if Tom hadn't told me specifically that's what he saw, I would probably have still picked that version if even if you had to pick between those two and Tom was not even in the picture and that whole cutscene was gone. And you just had to pick without that information, I'd still think I'd pick that the mom was not going to kill him. But the way they worded it made me second guess it, but I guess not. I guess people were with me on that one. The twins trusted their bond and kept their voice. Okay, 99% held on to the voice. Okay. So that means you must have to make some really radically different choices to let go of the voice. Which I'm glad they did. When that cutscene came up and she said she didn't want to use the voice anymore, that was sad. I reacted to that one like, why would you do that? They kind of faked me out there. Eddie remained in the dark about Allison's responsibility in the murder. 72% confessed the truth. Very interesting choice here. Honestly, I understand why people would choose to confess the truth. But I don't know. I just don't. I'm definitely going to find out what happens. I'll try the other way. But it just feels like something that would possibly damage the relationship unnecessarily. And I know Allison wants the truth to get out, and maybe that's part of moving on. But I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one. So that's one choice I'm in the minority on. Sam felt understood by Allison. 77% listened to Sam's story. Okay, so I assume that's the choice between let her go or I'm sorry. And in that situation, I was actually tempted to pick the other choice because it's clear that he's relying on alcohol to just cover up his feelings. But in that moment, I couldn't do it. I just had to say I'm sorry because it is hard. I understand that it's hard. But somebody probably does have to make the hard choice and tell him to stop. Michael felt closer to Tyler. 74% kissed Michael. Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I figured it'd be more. Because it's clear that Michael cares and that he wants to try, and he even makes the whole big spiel about, hey, I've had my heart broken, but I want to try. So why? So the only thing that would stop you is Tyler, but Tyler is saying, I don't know, and the only way you're ever gonna grow as a person is to try. So the game definitely influences you to go down the path of kissing Michael. So the fact that 26% didn't is surprising. I figured it'd be a higher one. All right, I guess that's it. The twins kept their bonds. They completed everything except for the goddamn loft, which I'm going to look up, I guess, where the last collectible I missed is and do that because I need to know. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the story. I'm slightly disappointed that there was no paranormal element or magical element, and that it was all just metaphors, just stand-ins for things. But to be fair, that they never said anything else really. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that in the mind of a child, that the Mad Hunter being your father that you don't know, and that you replace it in your mind, and your mom tells you all these stories and writes her life like a storybook, so that you see your life like a storybook. It makes sense. The only thing that throws me off of that, which I want to go back and watch, is in episode 1 when the Mad Hunter is in the police station. That's kind of like a red herring that's never paid off. So, because the other times you see the Mad Hunter, it's always in a memory. So it makes sense that the kids see the Mad Hunter in their memories, but that part in the police station is not. So that just feels kind of like they're trying to trick you, like they tricked me into thinking that there's more going on when really it's a story. It's not a story like that. It's a story about people and relationships and grief and getting over things and learning and growing and becoming who you want to be and everything like that, which makes total sense because it's Don't Nod. So I'm glad. I'm happy I got to play through this, and I'm going to obviously play through it again to see what I missed, and I've got to do that loft puzzle right now after I'm done with this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, I'll include this in the video too. Definitely. This is a very important message that should always be spread everywhere you can possibly spread it. So we'll keep that in. So this will be the official goodbye. Thank you.